Welcome to the Next Level Life podcast with Christine Corcoran. This podcast is made for the powerhouse businesswomen who are ready to ignite their fullest potential. This is where we will dive deep into the mindset breakthroughs and sprinkle in some kick up the butt motivation so you can scale your business with confidence and clarity. Whether you're craving more income, impact, or inspiration, this podcast will be your ultimate resource for all things next level. Listen in as we have authentic conversations with game-changing female entrepreneurs as we reveal the secrets on what it takes to rise and thrive. So go ahead, ignite your inner fire, and let's get you taking massive aligned action. Are you ready to elevate? Let's go. Hey, welcome back to the podcast. How did you go last week? Did you listen to the 5-day money rewiring reset? If you haven't, go back. There are 5 powerhouse episodes that I released last week, all about reshifting and redesigning your programming around money. Because if you're experiencing some scarcity at the moment, if you're experiencing a negative response to the economy or to interest rate increases or to fuel prices, like all the things, then I would absolutely suggest you work on your money mindset first to get back into a good headspace. So then you can start solving any other problems in your business and start attracting more money. So definitely go back and check that out. Also, before I dive into today's episode, I want to share with you that I have a new workshop coming up. It's called Build Your High Ticket Sales System in 90 Minutes. Now, I am going to charge for this, but the first 50 tickets or the first 50 seats are going to be free. So if you jump in ASAP, you possibly could save a free seat. Otherwise, it will be $47 for the workshop. I'm charging for it because I'm actually helping you build out a sales system in the workshop. So this is a working workshop. It's not a webinar that you watch and just take a couple of notes and then move on. It's actually doing the work. So I would suggest you register your name ASAP. Secondly, if you want a recording though, you're going to have to pay for it. You can either access the recording via being a part of my paid programs, or you can spend the $47 and get access to the replay. Now, this is going to be a full in-depth 90 minutes. We're going to be exploring what's really changed in the online environment, which I'm going to talk about today. And then also I'm going to help you map out the structure. So we're going to talk about your trust building touch points that you need to start building in, your conversion pathway. We're going to start figuring out where the sales are leaking. And then we're also going to build out your high ticket, high converting funnel. So we're going to use AI throughout this workshop so you can do it fast. And you'll be able to ask my feedback on the session as well. So I would absolutely suggest that you show up live because you're going to get more value out of it. And it's going to be so much more effective to make sure that you are creating something really, really important. Because when it comes to sales funnels these days, a lot has changed. And I do believe that you need to have one, like absolutely, and probably have multiple, depending on your type of business. And there's a lot of reasons why this is so incredibly important right now, because content is not selling. By posting content, it's not selling your spots in your programs, spots in your courses, or spots in your one-to-one consultancy, right? It's not going to help you sell more by just creating more content. And that's why I wanted to record today's episode, because there has been a big shift, and I think you are feeling it. Like if you are listening to this episode, I pretty much guarantee that you are feeling it because everyone is feeling it. Even though the market is shifting, we have a choice. We can either choose to adapt with the market or continue to struggle. Like honestly, that's where we're at right now. And give you a bit of insight into this, right? Like the online education space. So whether you run courses, programs, whether you're a coach, a consultant, whether you have a membership, any type of information-based business, even though it is at its most highest massive financial growth stage, right? It's valued over $400 billion, right? It's projected to then also surpass over $1 trillion by 2032, right? So that's only like 5 years away. So $1 trillion by 2032. What is really interesting is that top course creators are reporting their worst performance financially in a decade. Isn't that nuts, right? And this is not necessarily from market decline, it is a shift. Now, some of the factors that have caused this shift are firstly, we have AI now. Like we have AI to answer our questions, to jump in and get the breakdown. And people are basically going, is this course worth it? They're jumping across to ChatGPT and basically saying, can you teach me this? Or do you know the framework that this person's going to teach? And they're breaking it down so much more easily. And it's all there free at our fingertips, or for $20 or $30 as a subscription, right? So we need to recognize that obviously our customer is going to change because based on their behavior, they're going to AI for a lot of things now. Secondly, because of the pandemic, right? Because people had this real shift in the way that we lived, in the way that we worked, people then jumped in and created courses. So we had this massive like gold rush at that point in time where people were like, all of these people started creating courses. And so then that diluted the quality that was out there. And so there's a little bit of skepticism, well, not even a little bit, there's a lot, is that we're in a trust recession because of that, right? So there was a big trust recession from not just AI and more AI being pumped out that people are like, well, I don't even know if you wrote that or someone else wrote that. I don't even know if this program is actually something that's worthwhile because who knows whether AI wrote it? We don't know. Like AI can literally build out full courses quickly, very damn quickly. And so there's a lot of skepticism in the market already. And then there's a lot of a lack of trust that's been built because of a lot of AI now, even with content, right? So the way that people are showing up online, if there's a lot of content being created by AI, it's creating a lot more skepticism. All right. So we're dealing with, right, overly saturated market with regards to free information that is all AI based, right? Secondly, just the burnout and the trust scarcity because people, were burnt through the process of buying something that maybe wasn't great quality. Secondly, they dived in and were like, this isn't actually what I was promised. There's a big trust recession there. And then lastly, the last third kind of marker that happened that caused this perfect storm for this to happen at this point in time in 2026 is that a lot of people paid for courses, but they just don't complete them. Like the amount of conversations I have with people that are like, oh, I'm still trying to get through the 3 other programs that I've got, right? Or I'm already part of this and I'm part of that and I'm part of this. And the big problem with that is the completion rates. So then again, it like feeds the distrust or feeds the trust recession because people are like, well, if I downloaded this program, I never finished it. Why would I buy another one? Right? So it's like not necessarily a lack of trust in the person selling it. It's actually in the person buying it that they don't trust themselves to follow through on it. And like the last program that I purchased was a majority an online program, which then also had coaching calls, but the coaching calls were in a different time zone. So I was never actually able to jump on them live. And so I got a lot of value out of the program, but I finished it beginning to end. All right. And I've gone back over a bunch of videos because I was like, I spent high ticket on this. I am absolutely going to complete it because I want to get the value out of it. So that was a big difference. But the hard part with like so many courses coming out over the last 6 years is that people don't believe that what they're actually going to get is worthwhile. And so then they also overbuying and they just have all this extra stuff they're not actually finishing to get a specific result, which then brings me to the next really important part of what's shifting right now. We are shifting away from people buying information and knowledge because of AI. Like, this, right? So for courses to continue to exist, there's got to be a shift in that and it's also coming back to your sales messaging. So if you are selling information, if you're selling something that your people are learning, you need to shift from information to transformation. And this is something that I've been teaching in my programs for ages, like such a long time, because people don't buy what they get. They don't buy the inclusions. They buy the transformation. They buy the result or the outcome that you're actually offering. So when it comes back to your messaging and how you're selling, it's really incredibly important that you focus on the outcome, the result, the transformation. Otherwise, people are not going to be willing to buy because people don't buy information anymore. But they do buy the step-by-step, the support to get them from A to Z, right? So we want to recognize like what needs to actually shift in order for us to continue to have an online business that works. So I want to come back a few bits for the trust element first, because one of the biggest things, because of the trust recession and because people aren't trusting what people are saying online, I want you to start there because that could be some of the trust gaps that you're already in your content, in your sales pages, in the way that you sell your offering, right? So you could be, again, not showing enough of the behind the scenes, not showing enough of the transformation of the outcome, the result that you create for clients. So that's creating a little bit of distrust, right? So we've got to get better at actually showing more of that in order for clients to be like, wow, that's perfect. I want to work with them because I can see that they can get me a specific result. So it's so incredibly important that we get really clear on what your outcome, your result, your transformation is, and think about that step by step and how you can actually measure the results, because people will buy measured results. If you can say I can get you from A to B, then they will buy that. And if you can then show them, not just tell them, show them, that will actually help support your sales messaging. The other important piece I feel is also supporting trust building is making a client feel seen and heard in their experience. So people, again, we're moving away from perfect and more towards authenticity. Obviously with AI, people are now craving a lot more authenticity and connection and understanding. So we want to see ourselves in the person that we're buying from. We want to also see that that person really understands us rather than being told who we are and what we do differently, right? We don't necessarily want to be told what to do, but we want to be supported and understood in the process of understanding our challenges, right? So we also want to think about like what needs to change as well with the way that we deliver things, because there is going to be a shift in delivery. So I did a carousel on Instagram recently about this, and shifting from so much of the self-paced, right? So there's a couple of different things here. So we've got shifting from self-paced to having more of a connection to the creator. We're looking at how we can build AI into our systems and into our delivery to improve the outcome and result. So if you're able to build in more interactive workbooks, templates, tool integration with AI that actually allows someone to get from that A to B faster, then you will be much more effective in what you're creating for your clients. And then that will support the transformation, which then people will love and talk about it, and you'll get more referrals, right? So we want to make sure that we're thinking about not burying our heads in the sand and going, okay, how can I improve the way that I'm delivering? So recently I created a sales call practice partner, and it's a custom GPT that's built out, and it's designed to actually talk to you, and so you can practice your sales call. So I give you your sales script, and then you basically jump into this GPT and you tell the GPT who your ideal client is, and then it acts as the client. So then you can practice, and then it interrupts you where it feels like you could go down a different questioning avenue, or it suggests a question that you can ask, or it suggests that you add in specific parts based on my frameworks and based on what I've built it out to do, right? So things like that, where people are at, like one of my clients like messaged me the other day and she's like, oh my God, this thing is amazing. I feel so much more confident going into my sales calls now. And I'm like, awesome. So there's so many things that you can do behind the scenes to actually build out improving your delivery of your courses, because the old school way of self-paced, where it's just a basic bit video, a basic workbook, and a basic couple of action steps to do, is no longer working. We are so overwhelmed with content. We're so overwhelmed just in general these days that if we don't have the simple step by step and we don't have the accountability, then we're less likely to actually follow through. So that brings me to then the connection to the creator. So if you are a course creator, if you are someone who runs programs like I run programs, you want to think about how are you building in accountability, support, making sure that no one gets lost in the crowd, making sure that they're, again, taking action, because that's where it's going to make all the difference. And then lastly, if you are a coach, really leaning on your ability to hold space, facilitate transformation. And one thing that AI can never take away from you is your ability to coach someone live on a call. And the value that that gives not only the client, but the other people watching, especially if they're in a group, is so transformational on so many levels that AI cannot do that. AI does not have the ability for instance, myself as a coach, I can see the shift in the energy that happens on the call. I can see the microfacial expressions that happen when someone is avoiding a conversation or is hesitant or fearful or is feeling deep emotion that we need to work through. AI can't do that. And we need that as human beings. We need that connection. We have built-in mirror neurons that help us see ourselves in other people and see things in others that we have within ourselves. And so what's going to be deeply needed in this next season is connection, and to feel seen and heard in our experience. And I know I bang on about this all the time, but what I love and love so much about running groups is this experience where someone goes, I feel less alone in my experience because someone else shared what I feel. Or I feel less like I'm a failure, less like I don't know what I'm talking about because someone else has also shared authentically that they also feel like a fraud, or they also feel like they don't know what the hell they're doing and they're just winging it. Because business is fucking hard. And if we're showing up as perfect all the time and we're only showing perfect on socials, we're creating this false narrative that business is easy, and it's not fucking easy. And when we have those opportunities to be a part of a group where we get to really see someone else share authentically and vulnerably, it makes us feel like we are part of something bigger. It makes us feel that we're human and we have a deeper connection, and we feel it in our hearts, right? It's not a knowledge piece. It's not a direction from AI. Like, you cannot replicate that with AI, even if you're using it as your coach, even if you're trying to chat back and forth to it. Even if you chat back and forth to it, like, it actually does not have the coaching skills the way that a human being has coaching skills, especially if they're trained in NLP like myself, because it cannot, all it does is regurgitate. It just regurgitates stuff that you've already told it, or it comes up with other concepts and things like that and just throws stuff at you. And what it actually does is puts ideas into your head that weren't even there in the first place. And that's where I think that coaching will really stand out in this next phase, is that real coaches or good coaches will be able to hold space for you, ask questions in order for you to come up with your own solutions and have your own critical thinking and really acknowledge your own growth and progress so then it builds your self-belief. And that is incredibly essential in this new uncertainty of this market that we're in right now. Because if we're always outsourcing our ideas, we're always outsourcing our decisions, we're always outsourcing, oh my God, even what's wrong with me, right? If you're outsourcing that to AI, it's going to come up with some idea, right? And it doesn't necessarily mean it's true. Like the amount of times that I've even gone and I've asked questions and stuff like that and shared like bits and pieces of like what I'm feeling challenged by, it comes up with shit and I'm like, that's not my truth. Like that's not my truth. And I have the self-discernment to do that. But not everyone has that. And so I think one of the things of what a good coach can do, it's not about regurgitating stuff back to you. It's actually about holding space, seeing the nuance, seeing the shift in your energy, in your eye patterns, in your micro expressions, in the way that you're breathing. Your body tells so much more truth than what your voice does and what you're saying out loud. And a true coach can really see that, whereas I can never do that. It'll never be able to do that. So, sorry, I digress for a second there because I'm really passionate about this. So, when it comes to shifting, then the way that you deliver your programs may also need to shift. I would look at building in more community, building in a lot more connection, more accountability, more ways to help support someone getting back into action and less into overwhelm or just learning and digesting. We need people to be taking action in order for them to get an outcome, in order for them to get the value from your course or program. Which then brings me to the last little piece, which is really about like what the future is of consulting, of coaching, of any online service-based business. These core areas. So one, integrating AI in order for you to support an outcome, whether it speeds up the outcome or gets a better outcome, supports the transformation, supports the delivery. We really want to think about how we're gamifying things, how we're improving people's experience. So then you can really bring to the space what you need to in order for them to have the transformation. We're also going to be needing to bring in a lot more community and connection. So that's why events are going to be huge. I honestly believe events are going to be massive this year and next year because people are going to get so bored with AI and social media. Honestly, I feel like this is possibly going to be the death of social media, where if everyone keeps using AI in order to create their content, and don't get me wrong, like I still use AI to create my content, but I feed it as much as I possibly can in order to create content that actually sounds like me. And I'm not always using it. So there's always talking to camera reels, which is me. There's always going to be podcast episodes, which are me. So really starting to think about like, how do you weave more of yourself into your content? Because it'll help you separate yourself from other people that are just using AI. Because I think in the end, if people get bored by all this regurgitated AI slop, then they're going to step away from AI. And where do you think they're going to go? They're going to go back to being in person. They're going to be in-person events, in-person workshops, and they're going to get that connection that we deeply need in order for us as human beings to survive. So that then brings me to really thinking about, like, obviously there's always going to be a need for business advice. There's always going to be a need for support. There's always going to be a need for your consulting and your coaching and your service of whatever it is that you deliver. But I just want you to think about how things need to shift in order for you to do it better, in order for you to become known and build your personal authority. Because again, people are lacking in trust. So we need to see that you are evolving and that you're doing better and you're making the best of this change. And you're also implementing it so it actually supports the person, right? So I think what's going to change when it comes to these types of business models, I think that memberships will need to become a lot more segmented and a lot more impactful. I think the low ticket memberships will, again, I think they're going to be not many left over because what's the need for it anymore? We're using AI for so much of it that if you're not building community and connection into your memberships, I feel like it will run dry. I feel like a lot of programs, which is again why I think I stopped my Unstoppable Sales program, even though it feeds to this, like it's more of the cohort launches because people want to do it with other people because there is such a level of ability to support the outcome and transformation when people are doing things together. It actually increases completion rates by like 85 to 90% when you're doing it with another human being because there is that social pressure and that you're beginning and end and you're walking people through step by step. So you want to think about how you're running cohorts, and then you also want to think about possibly shifting away from longer term programs and actually thinking about short, sharp implementation sessions. So this is why I'm also building this into the collective. I'm also just launched a full VIP coaching day. So this sounds like something that you need, let me know. Just reach out to me. I'm doing a full day VIP coaching day, which we actually help build out your next vision and direction for your business. We get really clear on where you want to take your business. We get clear on how you're going to build AI into your business. We're going to get clear on all the systems that you may need to improve your process and your delivery. We'll also get really clear on your sales system so then you know how to sell to this market. But it's really personalized. So I won't go into too much detail of what it includes, but there's going to be definitely vision and direction, goals, clarity on your goals, clarity on how you're actually going to get there, sales systems and your sales strategy, and then mindset work. So there's some deep mindset work to support the transformation. Now, we're doing that all in one day because what I'm noticing a lot at the moment is people are like, I don't want to do anything really long form. I just want a full deep dive into my business and get someone's fresh eyes on it and get the clarity that I need so I can then just get back into action. So that's why I launched my VIP coaching day. If you want details about that, I'll pop the link in the show notes. But yeah, feel free to reach out and check in with me. And the other thing I think as well with courses is that courses are going to have to change with courses to include coaching or some type of personal implementation session, some type of support to get them again back into action, because the self-paced I think is going to start gone, like really just be something that people don't buy anymore. Okay, so there's a few other nuances that I'm going to go into, but I'll go into in depth into the workshop. So if this feels like something that you really need to work on within your business, I would suggest you register your spot for the Build Your High Ticket Sales System in 90 Days workshop, which is going to be on the 3rd of June at midday. And it's an hour and a half, and we're going to deep dive into your business and build out your sales system so then you know how to go to market with your offers. We want to make sure that's really tied to your ideal client, what they want and need, really map out your touch points for trust and ensure that you're able to deliver that. And so we'll build out as much as we possibly can in that 90 minutes. All right, check out the link in the show notes, secure your spot there, and I look forward to supporting you live on the call. Thank you for listening, and if you found any value out of this episode, make sure you hit the follow button so you get access to the episodes as soon as they are live, and make sure you come hang out with me on Instagram. You can find me at @ChristineCorcoran_coach. Have an incredible week.